Do not try to make me like Zuko. He is not likable, okay? I understand he has this tragic backstory. Most villains do. That doesn't make him likable. That just means I can sympathize with him. I can understand where he's coming from. But I don't like him. And yes, I know towards the end he tries to be good and he wants to better himself. Someone can be a good guy and still not be likable. And in Avatar the Last Airbender, he is not my favorite character. Just like if I knew him in person, he would not be my favorite person. The thing Zuko has going for him, for me, is that his voice actor is Rufio from the 90s movie Hook. That's cool. But if he was a real person, I wouldn't just say, I don't like this guy. I would have good reasons for it, so I'll tell you my reasons for not liking the character, Zuko. I came into the Avatar game a little late. I never watched it when it was first out. I watched it for the first time very recently, but because it's been out for a while, I knew some stuff was going to happen. I knew that Zuko was going to be set up as an antagonist and that later he would kind of join the good side and he would join the Avatar. So knowing that his character arc would go through that, I tried not to decide ahead of time whether I was going to like him or not. I wanted to be open-minded, just like I would try to be open-minded about a real person. We know Zuko is being set up to be an antagonist. The show is named Avatar the Last Airbender. The show is about the Avatar. He's the main character. Zuko is hunting that main character. It's obvious. The writers of the show don't want us to like Zuko. Done. Don't like him. But here's what they did in episode 3 to try to get us to sympathize with Zuko. This show was made for a younger audience, so kids might not catch on to this, but as an adult, I saw what they were trying to do, and it made me feel a little rebellious, like, don't try to make me like Zuko, title of my video. Zuko is given an enemy to be his antagonist. We get General Zhao as this handy little plot device pitted against Zuko to make us root for Zuko. Suddenly we have sympathy for his character. Now we can be like, yay, Zuko, you can beat Zhao. Don't do this to me. I don't want to like him now. Now I'm rebelling against the fact that you're trying to make me like him. Zuko's not very nice. Zuko spends every episode, almost to the end, maybe to the end, I don't know, angry at someone or about something. Have you ever spent time around someone who seems like they're perpetually angry? They're not very pleasant to be around. It's exhausting. You feel like you always have to pander to them and their temper so they don't blow up at you. If you were to be around Zuko and spend time with him, you probably wouldn't like him either. And then he has Uncle Iroh. Uncle Iroh is an amazing character. I may make a video about him too because he's so awesome. It's obvious how much he loves Zuko. He's Zuko's uncle, mentor. He provides love and support for Zuko, but does Zuko appreciate it? Not for a long time. We see him blow up in anger at Uncle Iroh multiple times. If there's someone in your life, like Uncle Iroh, and someone you know is not nice to them, are you going to like the person who's being mean to the person you do like? Now imagine watching this show and you love Uncle Iroh and Zuko's just being mean to him. Does that make him likable? Not really. So despite all of Iroh's love and care and support, Zuko takes his anger out on him, which doesn't really seem fair. It might seem unfair how harsh I'm being on Zuko's character. I know there's a lot of people who really like him, so I'm not going to spend this entire video just bashing Zuko. I would like to talk about the episode after Zuko has joined the Avatar and that group where Katara wants to go get revenge. And I would like to talk about the type of friend that Zuko is and compare him to the type of friend that Aang is. This is where Zuko tries really hard to be a good friend, and I'd like to look at whether he is actually being a good friend to Katara or not. At this point, Zuko wants to be a good friend. He wants to show support, and Katara is angry. She wants revenge. She hates the person who killed her mother and wants to go after them. Those are feelings Zuko can understand and support. Anger and revenge, he's your guy. But Zuko is not really considering what this decision to go get revenge will do to Katara as a person. But it is what Katara thinks she wants, and Zuko basically enables her. He shows his friendship for Katara by joining her on her quest. He stands by her side and supports her and goes into the bad decisions with her. Katara is on this downward spiral, and there Zuko is, right next to her. Aang, on the other hand, shows his friendship not by staying by her side, but by insisting that she forgive and forget. He cares about what kind of person she is and who she becomes. He encourages her to make the choice that's emotionally more healthy for her. He wants her to find healing and be happy. If you were in Katara's place, and I'm sure many of you have been or might be in the future, where you have a friend who's supporting you and supporting your decisions and saying, yeah, that's what you want, let's do this. Or the one who really wants what's best for you and pushes you and says, you're not that kind of person, come on, let's make a decision that's good for you. It's not always an easy choice. In the moment, in your emotional moment of having to choose what's best for you, Zuko's type of friendship seems right and it feels good. Yes, he's encouraging me. We're going to go do this thing, no matter how self-destructive it ends up being. This other friend, whose intention is to lift you up and wants what's best for you, is harder. You don't want to do that. You're not supporting me. You're just judging me and making me feel worse. Zuko ultimately doesn't care how far Katara falls as long as he's right there with her by her side. Can you see Aang being that kind of friend? Or is he the kind of friend who, after she falls, or even before she falls, tries to lift her up out of the destruction she's in? Zuko might be the type of friend you think you need, but Aang is the friend you actually need. Okay, now back to Zuko not really being that nice to Uncle Iroh. I think this friendship thing has a lot to do with how Zuko reacts to Iroh. This kind of friend that Aang is what Iroh is trying to be for Zuko. Iroh loves Zuko and he's trying to push him always to be his best self, even if it's painful. And that makes Zuko angry at him. Being pushed to do something you don't want to do when it's not good for you is not easy. And Zuko tends towards anger already, and so he reacts in anger. But since I don't want to make people too angry at me, let's talk about a moment where we can truly sympathize with Zuko because he is starting to show his better self. Plus, a super emotional part of this series, and that's the reunion in season 3 between Iroh and Zuko. If you're familiar with the parable of the prodigal son, Zuko is like the prodigal and Uncle Iroh is like the father. Zuko knows he has made bad decisions, he is messed up, there is no reason Iroh should care to have him back. Zuko is finally in a place where he appreciates everything Iroh has done for him, and he wants Iroh to take him back. But he really can't understand the depth of Iroh's love for him. We know the tragedy of Iroh's life, we know who he lost in his life, and all the love that Iroh would have poured out onto his own son, he now gives to Zuko, and Zuko just doesn't get it. The example he has of what that must be like is his own father, who is not a very good example of fatherly love. In fact, maybe one of the worst examples we could see. So when Zuko comes back to Iroh, he expects the reaction he would get from his father, but Iroh is everything Ozai is not, and Zuko had nothing to worry about. This may have been the most emotional part of the series for me, and maybe one of the few times I felt like I could actually start to like Zuko. And it's so close to the end, the series is almost over. He's still not likable for most of it, okay? So yes, Zuko does have some likable qualities. I think one of his most likable qualities was being able to look back at himself and the decisions he's made and want to be better and want to do better in the future. He didn't stay stuck being the person he was. He chose to go down a different path and be more than he was before. I think that's pretty admirable. He also manages to get May back, who stayed faithful to him even while he was being a jerk. She's probably the best girl there is for him. However, girls, don't follow her example and don't keep dating somebody who's a jerk to you. Not worth it. Real life is not like anime. If you're interested in an Avatar the Last Airbender character I do like, check out my Sokka video and subscribe for more fantasy-style character studies. Let me know in the comments if there's a character everyone else seems to like and you just don't. I'd love to hear who that is for you. And I'll see you next time. Bye! I can't just say it naturally. No, and I'm not sorry.